Hello, everybody. Welcome back. How's it going, everyone? There's a lot going on, and we've been talking about Emma Hayes a lot recently, but we are going to talk about the Champions League match that just happened over the weekend. Well, there was two. We're not going to talk about PSG and Lyon because I didn't watch it. Lyon won, and they're headed to the finals, so that was awesome to see. But we did end up talking about a little bit about the Chelsea-Barcelona match that happened last week, where Chelsea at Barcelona beat them on the first leg, and I think a lot of people were surprised and a lot of people were shocked. They were going into the second leg ahead of Barcelona, and a lot of people thought, okay, it's going to be tough for Barcelona, but if any team can do it, it will be Barcelona. And and that kind of happened because Barcelona is heading to the finals. They beat Chelsea 2-1 on aggregate, and stunning, shocking for a lot of reasons. We're going to get into it. But it was kind of a shocking situation. But I'm going to read a little bit from this. I'm sure everyone who watches this video knows exactly kind of what happened, but there's a lot going on.
Chelsea's hopes of reaching the Women's Champions League final in manager Emma Hayes' final season at the club ended with defeat by Barcelona at a sold-out Stamford Bridge. The Blues led 1-0 from the semi-final first leg, but holders Barca turned the tie around on an emotional evening in London, with two big decisions by referee Iuliana Dumitrescu going in their favor. The first was to issue a second booking in 4 minutes to Chelsea defender Kadisha Buchanan, reducing the hosts to 10 players just before the hour mark, before the visitors were awarded a penalty for the contentious foul on Bonmati, which Rolfo dispatched. Ballon d'Or winner Bonmati, who had earlier cancelled out Chelsea's aggregate lead with a deflected strike off Buchanan, went down in the box under contact from Jess Carter and Ashley Lawrence. A video assistance referee review did not overturn the decision, and Chelsea, despite their best efforts, could not find the goal they needed and were knocked out 2-1 on aggregate.
So, yeah, two huge decisions. And after the match, Emma Hayes let it know, and she was not happy. But first, going into the match, like it said, Bonmati scored in the 24th minute. Beautiful kind of strike with a little bit of a deflection off of Buchanan. That was the start of sadness for the Chelsea fans.
Yes, very sad.
I guess we'll go right to it, then we're going to back up a little bit, because the two controversial calls happened later in the match. First of all, there was a yellow card issued to Buchanan in the 54th minute. Then, just 3 minutes later, the referee issued Buchanan another yellow card, which meant 2 yellows equal a red. And that meant that Chelsea was going to be 1 player down to 10 players just 4 minutes later. And people were shocked and stunned for 2 reasons. A, she just issued her card not that long ago, and usually refs are a little bit, I don't know, they make decisions based on, when I hear the commentators always say that, you know, they give a little more leeway when they know you're on a yellow to make sure that it's completely the correct decision. But then people are saying that the actual card was unfair because most people are calling it a very soft yellow card, which would make a red card. If you look at it, it's Buchanan gets there, she kind of stomps on her foot and then kind of drags her leg. Most people are calling that pretty soft for a second yellow. To a lot of people, it was kind of a shocking call. But then again, in the 72nd minute, there was a penalty awarded for Barcelona. Ashley Lawrence clipped her. I'm not even quite sure. If you look at the video, Ashley Lawrence kind of looks like she clips her, making her trip, and then kind of pushes her. That's what it looks like. A lot of people are saying that Bonmati just fell, kind of under her own accord because the legs kind of got tangled up. But then that led to a Rolfo PK. She killed it. And that was kind of the match. We're gonna get into the specifics in a second. But heartbreaking for Chelsea at home, losing Emma Hayes' final Championship League match ever, possibly. Maybe not, but for Chelsea it is. And to go out like this, I think a lot of people are disappointed because we're going to get to this. We're going to read this, but Emma Hayes is not happy with the officiating. And a lot of people aren't happy with the officiating because to have this high level of a match and the officiating seems to be very questionable is always hard.
So I'm going to read a little bit of what Emma Hayes had to say after the match. Emma Hayes blasts worst decision in Women's Champion League history after Chelsea exit. Chelsea manager furious with red card and penalty decisions. Barcelona is through to the final against either PSG or Lyon. Emma Hayes lambasted the red card shown to Buchanan and the award of the decisive penalty in Chelsea's 2-0 defeat by Barcelona as probably the worst decisions in UEFA Women's Champion League history. Chelsea were a goal up going into the second leg, having inflicted the first home defeat on Barcelona in more than 5 years, but Bonmati's shot took a deflection off Buchanan to ensure the visitors were level on aggregate at the break. The center back then picked up two very soft yellow cards to cut Chelsea down to 10 players, and then the ref awarded a questionable penalty. And I felt like we were just coming on top, and you could see the combination of the crowd and the players were driving us. They felt really confident, so when you get such a shocking refereeing decision, there's nothing you can do about it, says Hayes. It's hard enough when you've got 11, but when you've got 10, it's virtually impossible. Even the Barcelona players said that the referee was helpful to them. I didn't think it was a foul, let alone a yellow card. The Chelsea manager said she was surprised to see Dimitrescu, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, had been awarded the semifinal. We didn't feel we got the opportunity to lose the game, that was taken away, and I think that I was surprised when I saw the referee selected. She's known for easy cards. They were probably the worst decisions in UEFA Women's Champion League history. Hayes went on to say that she was gutted for her players and said they felt robbed.
So that is what Emma Hayes had to say about what she felt about those two main decisions. She thought the two yellow cards were soft on Buchanan, which led to the red card. Then she said that penalty that was awarded, absolutely not a penalty, and she felt so bad for her players. And obviously she's the coach and she's going to defend. She's a coach, but those are strong words. The worst decisions. What did she say? The worst decisions in Women's Champion League history. I mean, those are strong words. She wasn't holding back, because I know that, a lot of times managers, they're always told, hey, you have to go after officials and refs. Sometimes you're on thin ice because you got to be careful, but she was not holding back.
She let the world know how she felt.
So, and then around the web, how it normally goes, Chelsea fans usually defend Chelsea. That's just the way it goes. When you're your own fans, you defend them. But a lot of people are saying, I'm just reading from Instagram, I see, and a lot of people are saying, not a second yellow, not a penalty. That's some horrible decisions by the referee. Heads up, girls. I'm proud of this team. Then someone goes, this referee was an absolute agent from Barcelona. What a horrible refereeing and a disgrace to the women's game. Robbed disgraceful officiating. So a lot of people aren't happy. And then I happened to see this. This is kind of crazy. There was, after the PK was awarded to Barcelona, there was like a video where they did a close-up of the referee, and she was like laughing, like she was like giggling, laughing, which I don't think was an appropriate. I don't know. I thought it was like almost a little sinister, kind of like free, kind of like, was this an agent for Barcelona? I mean, I don't think so, but it was kind of weird.
Double agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was creepy. It was different. It was interesting.
And then someone said something like this as well.
The worst decision it was of your player was doing that tackle with a yellow card. When you step into the contendant's foot, it is a yellow. You had your chances and you missed them all. This is another fact. Champions League is all about details, and you did them all wrong.
Yeah, so that comment made a good point that Chelsea had a lot of chances, maybe not a lot, but they hit the crossbar, they hit the post once. I think I came really close, and they had chances. Also, if what Emma Hayes says, the moment she heard that the center ref was going to be that same center ref, at that point, don't you tell your players, hey, this referee gives out cards. she has very soft. Isn't that a point where you should say you have to be extra careful? Because if she already knows this ref is a very tight ref, isn't that, don't you think she would tell the players to, hey, don't make silly, don't do anything that can really cost you?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to just, when you're in the heat of the moment and everything, and you're caught up in the play, it's hard to be strategic that way with every single move. So, yeah, it's tough.
And the one thing, we didn't read it in this article, but I read it. VAR was at play in these games during the penalty. But what happened in the second card for Buchanan, it wasn't in this article. Maybe I'll find it. But basically, when she was given a second yellow, you would think, well, if it's going to be a red, wouldn't that be VAR? Because it was a yellow that turned into a red, they weren't actually allowed to check it for VAR. Emma Hayes asked the official, she says, aren't you going to check it for, it's a red? And they said, if it's yellow, you don't check those for VAR. Then I read in the article also that the referee didn't even realize she had given the yellow already to Buchanan 4 minutes earlier, that she was confused. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that someone is guessing that, but that was very disturbing to hear as well. For the penalty kick, she goes down. Their legs kind of get tangled up. It kind of looks like Ashley Lawrence pushes her. It goes to VAR. VAR then agrees with the call on the field. So some people are saying, hey, as much as that was soft, you just have to admit defeat, or you just have to admit defeat. Then someone says like this: her legs get clipped by Ashley Lawrence's unintentionally. However, it is still a penalty. So even if it wasn't intentional, this person thinks definitely still penalty. And then someone says the penalty was softish, but it was a penalty. The reason was Jess Carter pushing Bonmati into Ashley Lawrence, which it looked like Jess Carter actually pushed her rather than Ashley doing anything herself. So long story short, there was a lot of controversy with the reffing, which we talk about all the time. And I think it happens in the men's game all the time, happens in every sport. It's just frustrating, and it's going to be, even with VAR, that's going to happen until the end of time. Chelsea did have chances. They lost. And a lot of people also are saying, Emma whining. She's turned into like a number one whiner, which I think is kind of funny too. What do you guys think about that? And then actually Hayes says this: the toughest thing to take is that we didn't lose it. There's nothing you can do when there's such a terrible decision and it's already hard enough. But a lot of people are saying, they might like Emma, but you did lose, But reffing, it just always sucks when there's questionable reffing, and it happens all the time. But I don't know. What does everyone think?
Yeah, it's always tough to see your team lose. Sad, but it happens, I suppose.
Yeah, and it is interesting that Emma went so hard at the refs and at everything, just because maybe she thinks she has nothing to lose because she's leaving the WSL.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, she has anything to lose. But I will say that weird smiling, laughing that the ref was doing was freaky. I'm sorry. It was a little freaky.
Was it a smirk?
I know.
A bit of a smirk.
But I will say, when Emma's the coach of the women's national team, I want her, she's, Emma's famous for supporting her players, to saying, hey, you're not going to talk to my girls like that. Supporting their play. I want her to stand up for the U.S. women's national team too. If she's gonna be the coach, so I want her to, looking back at the Olympics last summer, I wanted her to say, hell no, that didn't go over, the line. I want her to say things like that. I want her to stick up for the players. So that is good. What does everyone think? Do you think that was the correct calls? But it's kind of like that finesse of the referee, when to call things, when not. And I think sometimes when you have a game, whether it's soccer, football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, after the game is over and you say, hey, that was a well-reffed game, sometimes those are the most satisfying, that you said, hey, that game was well-reffed. So what did everyone think about that Champions League game? Very exciting. But I'm going to touch on something really quick, and then we're going to go. That has to do with Chelsea as well, from last video that we talked about. Because as you remember, last video we talked about and Katrin Berger leaving Chelsea, going to the NWSL in Gotham. And yeah, we'll start here. She actually started over the weekend of the game. I was shocked to see she started like 9 days after she got there, she started.
And she kicked some serious butt.
She had some incredible saves, and they kept talking about her distribution was really good. So that really reinforced that she is there, and she actually made a huge impact on that game. So that was great to see. We did tie, but
good game.
Last 10 minutes were wild. That was not all the scoring Rose Lavelle scored, so she did come over. But we did get a little bit of pushback from the last video because I think the thought is it was a little too speculative about what happened in the events leading for her to leave. Because a lot of people said when you are somebody who isn't performing and there's a lot of competition, that's just the business. I'll read this comment real fast.
Okay, this comment says, there might have been an issue, but the comments didn't trigger it. I think people forget there's a whole process to change clubs in regards to approvals, international spots, visas, etc. This has been likely in the works for a while. There's a ton of competition in the keeper role at Chelsea. It sucks, but sometimes it just comes down to business.
Yeah, and a lot of people said, those comments didn't really change anything. She was on her way out, and maybe they didn't help, but it was already, what was happening was already going to happen. And we did get a couple comments like that. Also, a couple comments saying, just because Emma made those comments, in no way impacts the U.S. women's national team, which we kind of alluded to. This comment says,
you say, what does this mean for the U.S. women's national team? It means nothing. As stated, she doesn't stop it from happening. She gives a truthful answer to one question that no other manager has been asked to my knowledge, and everyone starts up the conspiracy train.
And this comment does go on to say that
they're disappointed in us.
That it was
which is okay.
Yeah, it's definitely okay. Which we got a little kind of conspiratorial. The person says, let's not mention the amazing career and opportunity that Emma did give Katrin, and that this is kind of a theory, and that goalkeepers have a relatively short shelf life to most teams. Also to focus on what Emma can do for the U.S. women's national team, which I agree. I even with the story we just talked about, Emma kind of complaining about the refs. In the video, I even said, I want Emma to fight for our girls in the U.S. You know what I mean? I wanted to fight, but I also wanted to be truthful. Maybe that means to the girls too. So, or the players. Like you said in the last video, it was kind of like a soap opera.
Who doesn't love a good conspiracy theory, though? I know this is not what this channel is, but I love conspiracies.
And then also, we did talk about the ref being kind of doing that little sinister laugh. That's also a conspiracy theory. But we have to be mindful of what makes sense and what doesn't.
Well, it was no maniacal laugh.
Oh,
no,
that's true.
Now that would be weird and out of pocket.
Yes, that's true. But what does everyone think? I did want to touch on that. So, and Katrin making it, and that's the thing. And a couple other people said, and Katrin's such an amazing goalkeeper that we don't want to discredit everything she has done in her career and have it boil it down to a few comments. That isn't fair. Exactly. Questions, comments down below. What did you think about Champions League? And what did you think? Do you have any other comments about Emma? Because I think Emma actually, between the comments from Champions League and her kind of wild comments, I think she has to reset, refocus when she gets to the States, and I think she's going to be successful. I really do. I think she's going to be very successful, which is so weird because Vlatko is now coaching the Current in the NWSL. He's like killing it. The Current is killing it, which is just goes to show you club play, the national team, so different yet,
Wild.
Yes.
It's wild.
Questions, comments down below. We'll talk to everyone later. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.